the logistics of having a tall house, doll's house. So this is my table, kitchen, living room, bedroom, my room. I'm standing up, I'm 5'6", and this is how high the house is. So Paul's having that room, but I can't reach to wallpaper, so she's got to lay down again. So this is being nicknamed, this is Sally. My house is being called Sally because she spends a lot of time laid down, as in Eric Clapton's song, lay down Sally, and rest you in my arms. Might have to play a bit of Eric this morning while I want to do wallpapering, you see. So while I do the wallpapering, yeah, she's got to lay down again. Very undignified, I'm afraid. Shall we talk wallpapering? If you've done domestic wallpapering, you've got a bit of a head start in some ways, but be mindful that this paper is not as robust as wallpaper. So you've got to go a little bit more gently. This is stuff that I've bought. This is Jackson's Miniatures. And the one this is what's going in Paul's room, that's also in my room. It wasn't going to be, but it is now. Little teeny weeny acorns on it, really pretty little pattern. So the first thing I recommend you do is you study it, because there can be very subtle differences. Let me show you one I did yesterday, as they say. So this is the one that was going to be in my room that's actually gone in the kitchen. Let me see if I can twist you a little bit, save the reflection, the dazzle. And these little loopy loops have an up and a down. So there's like 2 rows, but one row is going one way, one row is going another way. And it was only when I studied it closely and identified the little tiny flower details that I thought, I haven't got as much as I thought I had. So I had to rethink then. So that's why that's gone in the kitchen, because the whole of, or most of one wall is going to be the Aga recess, so that can be patched, but it's not a full wall. So have a study and see where your pattern is, get some ideas of identifying marks, and also, is there an up and a down? This one, when you look really closely, there is, I think there is an up and a down. It's just that one is facing one way, one is facing the other way. But yes, close inspection is warranted. And then I've used lining paper, wallpaper lining paper. It's so good. Go and get yourself a cheap roll. And this is the thinnest lining paper available. It's good for so many things. You know, you can put your glue on here, and you can do your patch testing with your paints and all sorts. So, you know, you can reuse it for lots of things. So I did a template, and I've marked on here, so I put P's study, and I marked which is the top. So I've used the straight edge of the lining paper, and then poking in, you can use your fingernail to press to find the creases where the joins of the unit is. Now I've trimmed nearly up to those, not directly into them, and I always like to leave a little bit extra overhang, just, you know, because it's a good idea. And I'm going to start, because this has got a white edge here, so I'm going to use that as an overflow, the turning edge bit. So I'm going to put that on there for my edge. In fact, I'll go over just a nudge, because you can trim it off once it's in place, but it's a darn sight easier than trying to patch another bit in. So you want to have handy, you want to have your steel rule. In fact, I've got a big one and a little one, because I had to go in and measure a bit of the pattern on something just before. Possibly want a pencil, and your blade, your craft knife, whatever it is you're using. And then I'm just going to, I know my straight edge on my lining paper isn't completely straight, but we'll go with that. And I know I need to do a little bit extra at the bottom, or is it the other one? I think it's the other pattern actually. It needs a little bit extra at the bottom. Now this is all right because it's got the crease, so that tells me that's all right. But I'll make sure I go just beyond it. And one thing I did the other day, I was so keen to get my kitchen floor glued down, I forgot, and I did the wallpaper before I had glued, sorry, I did the flooring before I glued in the wallpaper, which isn't really the right way round. You want to make sure you've got your lights wired in. And I knew there wasn't lights going under that floor, and I got myself in a muddle fuddle anyway, so it's been a bit more of a fiddle to do that. So I'm going to write on here top, so that's for Paul's, that's the back, which I'll write on there as well, back really faintly. So that's that out the way, and then I want two sides. So you want to keep all these little pieces. You never know what they will come in for. But this, because they're scale pattern, these will be really lovely for lining drawers and maybe putting at the back of wardrobes and all sorts of things like that. They're so pretty. I mean, if you've got a funny bit around a chimney breast or something like that, you can use them there. So I want to use this one before it's stuck on. I suggest you do all your cutting first, and then when you've done your cutting you can go on and see how you're fixed for doing all your gluing. But you know, maybe you want to take a break before you do your gluing. Something not quite right there. So I'm going to cut the full width of this, and then I'll fiddle with the wallpapering. Let me give you a couple of tips. You may have done domestic wallpapering. Remember, this is not as robust, the paper you're going to wallpaper your inside of your house with. I have made a paper template, and I've done it in sections because these my rooms in Sally townhouse, because they are very deep, I'm not going to try and do the three sides all in one go. That I know I'm going to get in a terrible mess. So I'm going to have to do it with three separate sides, and I know that both sides are the same, although there's a window and a door in. I'm going to paper over the window and the door, and then I'll cut that out afterwards. And then I've made a template for the back. So this is the template for the side, and I've written on here top, and I've used the straight edge. This is lining paper, wallpaper lining paper for a template. I've written on here top, I've written what it is, door side, my room and kitchen. So my room and the kitchen are the same size. Turns out Paul's study is a bit taller, but I say I can't see in there, it's too high. And I've written on here cut a bit longer, because that is going to go underneath the floorboards. So I've stuck a little post-it note on here just to remind me which way up. So this, I'm using the one I like least. I'm papering this one first to get the hang of it. It's okay, it's beautiful, it's lovely, but you know, if push comes to shove, I can rip it all off and start again. That's okay. I haven't spent a huge amount on this, but it is something that I bought. So I've used the straight edge of the wallpaper for the top, and I'm allowing a little bit extra underneath because that's going to go underneath the floorboards, and it's, you know, it's going to crinkle up a bit. But if I can get the top of the wallpaper butting up to the ceiling, that will be good. So my apologies if you get my arm in the way. Oh, what's that? Oh right, that's that. I have to move that back. So I have mixed up some wallpaper paste, and it's just domestic wallpaper paste. It's not specifically for Dollhouse paper, because as far as I can see there isn't any difference. And I have this particular wall in the study. I have put lining paper on. I did this the other day, so that's had a chance to, no, that needs to come down a bit more. That's had a chance to dry properly, because that's covering the wire from the landing, because we wanted that light to be on the inner wall. So when you're doing your lights, you have to plan where your cables are going to go, and does that mean you're going to have to do some extra paper fiddling. So what it does mean is that this paper doesn't slide quite the same in applying it than when it's just on the wall, like the true wall. So I've pasted, I don't know if I've just said this or not, I've pasted the wall and the paper. And because I've got a sort of a plasticky coating tablecloth thing on this table, I've done it straight on there, and I'll clean that properly afterwards. And I'm using just like a piece of nice card to smooth it down. You could use a, you know, like a credit card kind of thing if you wanted. I didn't have one of those to hand. I know I've got lots of them here in my cabin, but they're in a box somewhere. So, and what I'm doing is I'm papering over the doorway, then I will cut that out afterwards. Like this morning I cut out the doorway from my my room. So this lovely little light is being a little bit of a pain, but I've got to, I had to do the lighting, get that threaded through before I put the paper on. So that is drying beautifully. Very pleased with that. I think Paul will like that. And where's the next one? Sorry, you're going to have to stay there for a minute while I paste this. Don't mix up too much paste in one go. It does actually go a long way. Most wallpapers, Dollhouse wallpapers that you buy, you'll find are very user-friendly as far as the pattern matching goes, because they know what we have to deal with. I did buy some, I bought a digital thing online, but what I realised was they were quite a lot smaller than 1/12 scale, and I was going to have to fiddle to get them 1/12 scale, and I just thought, you know what, I can't be bothered. I wanted it ready done, and that would be printing out onto A4 paper, and And I thought, no, I'm just going to get a couple more sheets of what I know will fit and I know is the right scale. And I'm very glad I have done, because it's saving me a lot of headache. Can you hear that wind outside? Blimey, O'Reilly. This is where I have to be mindful of my perfectionist tendencies, because I could be fiddling and then end up ruining the paper. And actually, people won't notice much of the paper at all once you've got all your stuff inside, and that's where the beauty of having lots of interesting accessories and stuff like that is so lovely. And I am going to be adding skirting boards and architrave around the, I can't remember what it's called, around the top corners. So that's that done. Am I ready for the next one, or did I have to cut some off? Should we talk lighting? So what I'm doing in the townhouse is I'm using plug-in electric lighting. Bramble Cottage I use battery powered because I've only got a couple of lights in there, and at the time I was feeling a bit chicken licking about the whole wiring thing, but anyway, we've looked into it. So you have your individual lights, I will come back to those, and you've got to fit those in the house, and then thread the wires through the outside of the house, and then everything with its little socket, little plug thing, goes into the equivalent of a gang that we would have as an extension gang thing. So then you'd plug all your lights in there and have that attached to the back of your house or something. Different sizes available, and depending on what you have, that's a sort of a double, two little bitty ones. We've got way more than we need here, but we bought some lighting as a sort of a set. I think it was a Black Friday deal or something, and it seemed too good an opportunity to miss because we've got so many lights. But let's look at the lights in detail a little bit more. So they've got a little tiny LED bulb. You take off the sticky, not the sticky pad, you take off the covering, and that's got a sticky pad underneath, so that is going to stick onto the ceiling or the wall or wherever it is you want it. Sometimes there's a little tiny snaggy bit from the moulding that you might want to sand off. I use like 240 grade sandpaper, just it's tiniest little bit. Sometimes you might want to do that. Let me show you with a new one, because they come really quite tightly wrapped. Doesn't matter who you get your lights from, just shop around and see what you fancy. But plan your lighting right at the initial stages, so it comes in all wrapped up, and it's quite fine wire, so go gently with it. And I haven't done it yet, but I gather you can soften this wire to smooth it out a little bit more with a very slight warming of a hairdryer. I'm just doing it with my fingers, just very softly to smooth it out. Most of the planning I've done in my house, in the townhouse here, the wires feed through underneath flooring and through channels and stuff like that. I will show you, but it's a different camera angle. So let's get this undone. I can continue smoothing this out in a minute off camera. So sockety pluggy end thing, plug end, not socket, plug end. This, that's it, little tiny snag there, just where it's come out the mould. If I don't get that off, that will annoy me. So, and then what we have to do is you have to disconnect this bit. We have to take the pins out. It is a bit of a fiddle. Make sure you're on a sort of place where you can capture them if they come flying off, and you want a pair of flat-edged pliers. So what we've got here, if I hold one end with the pliers, it's sort of a pin, sorry, too high, pin with a knobbly bit in the middle, and its one end is shorter than the other, and the shorter end is what goes in the socket. So I've got 2 pins, and then if you push the wire, you can see that the wire comes out through the plug. Straighten out the wires. Now you could shorten these if you want to, but you'd need very fine, delicate pliers to strip off the plastic. Personally, I'm not going to bother with that. So then take that off. So then you've got your exposed wires. When you've straightened out all of your wire as much as you wish to, then thread it through the hole, and I will show you what I'm doing with that on the house, and then I will come back and actually I'll do one and I'll come back and show you this. So I've threaded it through the side of the house. I will show you that in a second. So what I'm doing is I just want to smooth out the wires because I've got to thread them through the single hole in the plug. Once you know what you're doing with this, it's dead easy, but it can be a little bit daunting to begin with, and I'm not somebody that can follow instructions through reading them. My dyslexia doesn't really like that. I have to be shown how to do it, so that's why I'm doing videos. So then you need to thread, get all the little copper wiry bits snug together, and they need to go back into the hole where they came out of, and then the pin needs to go back in to hold that in place. And I'm doing it with my fingers first. Right, that's that one. And get the other one in. So don't do this on the sofa when you've got kids and dogs and stuff bouncing on you and then you can't find the pins, and you know, do it at a time when you're calm and you can concentrate. And of course, as you try and poke them in, they spread out a bit. Oh. In. Right. Go on in, you doodah. It's meant to be a snug fit because you want the connection. Right, so that's back in. You see it's got a bit loopy there, there's a bit spare. So if I pull that gently, that's come down. So that is now ready to plug into the extension-y lead thing. So I've got about 4 more to do, and then I'll show you how I've got them fitting in the house. I'm fitting in the lights. This floor's not stuck in yet, so I'm going to just move that out of the way and I'll show you what I've been doing. This is the best idea we came up with. Another day, possibly come up with another idea. So if I show you the underside there, so the light is stuck, so it's going to be over the 2 flights of stairs, and put it down carefully. So the cable comes up here, just behind this front landing. And we'll put a bit of tacky wax on there. Stick that cable to there. And we'll have another little bit of tacky wax. Move the cable around the back. So this is going to be hidden by the stairs. Put that on there. There we are, cable hidden. And it comes out the side there. Don't know if you can get that in focus. There we are, comes out the side. So now I need to stick this floor down. Which if I just move you out of the way a bit, I can do. Sorry about my arms everywhere. This is what happens when we work in a little space, isn't it? The palette knife I was using the other day to spread glue, because this has got glue stuck on it, so I need to give it a good clean off. I'm really pleased with how this wallpapering has come out. That is marvellous. So we'll just stick that in there. And get it lined up at the front. It's a little teeny weeny bit there that I need to go over with stain. I will do that. And just while I stick down the other stairs, let's put a clamp or 2 on. Can't put clamps everywhere because they just won't fit on here, but it'll just help. Bit of oozy, bit of ooze of glue. You could see the chaos that I'm climbing over in here at the moment. I've got bits of wallpaper everywhere and stuff, but hey ho. So let's put those nearer the front. We'll put another one there, so that's good. So where am I up to? I've got to put in some stairs. So I've put in the very bottom staircase. Look, 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 covers the bottom floor very well. Very pleased with that. So let's see if I can. So this is the back of my townhouse. So you can see I've got wires coming through here. I've just looped them together gently in an elastic band there. And then this is from a higher room. This, I've had a bit of trouble with this. I don't know if you can see. This one, there's hardly any wire coming out at all. So we've got to fiddle with that. But I've got the pin and the pluggy thing safe. So they're to one side, safe. And then I've got another couple of wires coming out the roof. So I've taped that there. Oops, sorry. Have you wobbling about all over the place. Another one here. Some more. This is the side of the house, so I've got some more coming down here. Again, loopy looped, just so they don't get snagged. And if I show you the inside of the house, so this is the kitchen. I did a bit of wallpapering yesterday, so I've got a bit of trimming off to do. And I woke up in the middle of the night, because I tried to trim it when it was wet and it was getting a bit snaggy. And I woke up in the middle of the night going, oh no, my wallpaper will have stuck to the floor. Hey ho, I'll trim that off carefully. So anyway, we've got a light in the kitchen. This is going to have the Aga on it, so I need to build a recessed bit for there. That's the bottom, the basement landing with the floor, which I'm so pleased about. This is, here's my wallpapering template. This is the lounge. So you can see there the channel. So this is where the light from the kitchen has come through, and it's gone through a channel. I will lay it down snugly into the channel, straighten it all out and everything, and I get it taut before I put the floor down. And this is a landing. I'm going to show you what I'm doing with the wiring for the landings in a minute. This is the bedroom, so we've got a nice dingly dangly light there stuck on the ceiling, and what I've done is I've positioned them so they're not squishing the wire. The wire is just ever so slightly behind the sticky pad. Again, the cable is through there, through the channel. So I've got a wallpaper in here today. Another landing done. This is my room. Again, you can see that's going to be underneath the floor. I did some wallpapering yesterday, which I'm very pleased with. This wallpaper was going to be in the kitchen. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I didn't have enough. So I've swapped the kitchen and my room wallpaper wise, because I had enough of this. This one is giving me a little bit of jip. Now this light, the bulb came separately and the prongs that hold the light in were awfully long. Anyway, I've invited Paul to have a look at this. He likes all this sort of stuff, so it's a way of keeping him involved and engaged. I could figure it out myself, but I could involve him. Another light landing. Top landing, we've gone for a wall light there. Thought that would be quite nice. And this is Paul's room. Got to decorate this today, wallpaper. He's got a top light. You can just see if can I get you in? Ooh, you see, got you on a sticky thing. So the wire is just behind the light. You won't notice that from the outside. And he's got a rather swanky danky desk light there. Oh, great. And the dingly danglies come off. We will glue that back on. So that is also threaded through. I think that's the one that's a, no, it's another one. It's the bedroom light. No, it's my study light, my room light. This is the one that's got the dodgy connection on the back. But we'll fiddle that one out. So today I'm going to do more wallpapering, and I'm going to fit the stairs because everything has glued and dried, and you can see I've added the little teeny weeny skirting boards there. Oh, I can see a little bit of glue showing. Might have to touch that up. And yeah, very happy with everything so far. Now, because Sally, as she's now named, she's got cables at the back here, I've got to be careful how I lay her down on her back. I'm going to have to put something, I'm going to have to rest her on something because I don't want to squish those connections, and it's really, really heavy. And of course, with everything that I add in, it gets heavier and heavier. So anyway, I will let her stand top and bottom on something. I'll find something. And maybe those cases there that have got Dremel-y things in, maybe we'll use those while I do the rest of the wallpapering, because she really needs to lie flat for that. So I've done the boarding for the turning, the back landing, if you like, behind the stairs where the stairs turn. And I've done them in a darker stain because I wanted to try something out. I've got this sepia ink. I've got a couple of bottles of this, and it's more than I need. Gave it a really good shake. So I did this over the last couple of days, and I've done 2 coats on each floorboard section. And then I finished them with the Liquitex Gloss Medium because I've got it, and that works as good as varnish. But you could use finishing wax or some other varnish if you've got that. So these are quite dark, but they do tie in with the colour of the stairs, which I did a couple of coats of the Georgian oak stain that I've got. And because they're a different material, they're an MDF material instead of, this is proper really thin strips of wood, it's shown up as a different colour. The front, the hallways, if you like, the front landings, if I've used the Georgian oak stain that I've got. So this is the darker stain of the 2 that I've got, but I wanted that to be a bit lighter because I wanted different shades of wood. So although the stairs are very dark wood, these are lighter, and I'm happy with that. So what I do need to do, so let's take this over to the house. I have tried them, so I know what I'm up against. They're all just a nudge too big from my paper template. So I need to get my blade out and my steel rule and just trim off a little bit on each one. And so I'll trim a little bit, measure it, offer it up, and then trim some more if necessary. I've done some, what do you call it? The edging, skirting boards. I've done that out of some other wood that I had, and I've just beveled the edge very slightly, mitered the corners so they should fit in neatly. Might need to trim a tiny bit off those. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. And all the floorboards, sorry, all the stairs are ready to go. They just need the newel posts attaching. And as you see, everything comes out in a, sorry, I moved the camera. The newel posts will need attaching. Where it's real wood, it comes out a slightly different shade, although it's the same stain as than the stairwell, the staircase, although I think I showed you in a video just before where I'd used a slightly different stain. Hey ho, we know how it is when you get light coming in through windows, things look slightly different. So I'll trim these off. I'm going to have a good cough and show you where we are. I've glued down 2 of the floorboard, back floorboard things, and they're held on with some clamps. And I've only got enough clamps to do 2 at a time. So they're going to dry while I go and have some lunch. I've glued down this floor, so I've weighted it down with a few cans and some staircases and things like that, as you do. And after lunch I will come back and do a bit more. Note to self, it is a lot easier to cut the woods, the size of the planking and everything like that. So I'd stuck it down on the template. It's probably best to measure it and do any trimming before you start staining, and certainly before you add varnish, because the varnish makes it quite tougher to cut. But I didn't do that. Honesty, eh? So if, like me, you have the joys of varifocals to deal with, it means you've got to get your head at some funny angles to see where you're going with things. So I'm just putting some glue on the top and the bottom of this staircase. Just triple checking as I go what is going where. So I've got 2 of these big staircases, and one is for the hallway, as in where the front door is, which is this level, and another one is the level between these 2 main rooms. So it's all glued up together. So with this kit, I don't know about other kits, but this kit, it says do the staircase in its entirety first. So that's in the top. I'm not going to try and glue to the side wall, or else I'll have glue going all the way up the wall as I try and get it into position. Oh, okay. It's not going to actually stick there then, that's okay. So I've put glue here and there. It will stick where it sticks. Right, so that's that one. So we've got one to go in here that goes down, which I've just had to do a little touch up of stain. I'm sure we're good to go. And again, just looking to remind myself what's going where. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I feel like a kid on Christmas morning. It's like, at last, things are coming together, and I can see how it's like the jigsaw puzzle, you know? Right, you go in there, and as it drops down, I've got some glue where I shouldn't. Okay, so what I've got is I've got a little gap, which I'm not best pleased about, between the stairs here, between the landing and where the stairs. There's just a little tiny, little micro gap there. And I might see if I can cut a little piece to fit, to slot in there. it's bugging me a bit. But anyway, that's for another day. Where are we up to? Next landing. Hello lovely, an update on where we are. I'm pausing here for the end of this video. So hall stairs and landing are move-in ready if we're not counting the windows, but that's a whole other ball game, is the windows. There's a lot of sanding to do before I can put the windows in, and I'm going to do all the windows in one go with the front of the house. Top floor and my room are ready for their flooring to go down. I've nearly finished that. That just needs varnishing, and if you want to know about how I do the wooden floors, watch my other video on that. The bedroom is nearly ready, the fireplace is nearly finished, and then I can paper this wall. And I've been stalling a bit because I'm not quite sure about that, and I think I'm going to paint part of it and have the chimney breast in wallpaper because of the logistics, but I'll go into that in my next recording. The living room is nearly ready as well. I need the fireplace to do on that, and I've got a bit of the same dilemma of wallpaper first, flooring first, whatever, how it all fits in together really well. The kitchen, I need to build the fire surround for the Aga. What I have discovered in amongst the lighting kit, now I've got a little bit of a problem with the lighting because the main adaptery thing that you plug all the little cables into and then plug it into the wall, there's a break in the wiring, so that's not good. You can see the copper wiring. So Paul has background in engineering, he's very happy with that. I don't do wiring and electrics and stuff like that, but anyway, he can fix that. We've had it a bit too long to send it back. I should have checked it right at the beginning and I didn't. But what I have discovered is in our bunch of wiring things, and I say we had masses more than we needed, they come with all these little, if you like, extras like extension leads, and I've got probably about 10 of these. So what we've decided to do, before I put down the floors, and you have to decide this before you put down the floors or else you end up making new holes, is to thread some of these through. I've got to take the end off and all of that stuff, thread them through, and then every room will have a couple of extra of these, because when I'm ready, when I know what I want, I can buy the extra lighting and then just plug it in, have that like hidden behind the dressing table or somewhere, whatever. But these decisions have to be made before you put all the fittings in. So what I might do, because I can, is I might look at illuminating the fireplace or illuminating this corner here somewhere, say. You know, side lights here and there and everywhere. I can play with that. So I need time to actually ponder all of that and where to put the other lights. So I'm not going to rush in with that. That is a work in progress. What I do feel really inspired to do is to get back into, I want to get this move-in ready, and then I get the front done to keep the dust out, because then if I'm doing any sanding or whatever, it doesn't fill with dust. And you see that I have moved around the cabin, so this is next to my working desk now. Yes, so next is I'm going back into Bramble Cottage. So I'll see you on the next long video that I do of progress. I'll talk to you soon.